If you're an EU or EEA EFTA citizen with an EUSS family permit and travelling with your national ID card, you will not be able to use the E-gates. In this circumstance, you will be referred to a border force officer. If you are travelling with your passport and encounter an issue using the E-gates, you may be referred to a border force officer also. If you are travelling with a passport, you will be requested to hand your passport to the border force officer at the border force desk, where they will check the vignette in your passport and will scan the document. The vignette is the physical visa that is added to your passport after being granted an EUSS family permit. If you are travelling with a national ID card, you will need to provide the form that your EUSS family permit vignette was attached to. Once the border force officer has verified your EUSS family permit, your passport or ID card will be returned to you and you will be granted entry to the UK. There may be circumstances where further checks are required. In this circumstance, another border force officer will take your passport or ID card to perform further checks. During this time, you may be asked to wait at the border force desk. Alternatively, you could be handed a pre-filled form titled IS-81 form and asked to wait in the controlled waiting area whilst the checks take place. It is worth noting here that despite the pre-filled form referring to detainment whilst further inquiries are undertaken, you may only be waiting in this area for a short period of time and could still gain entry to the UK once further checks have been completed. Once the border force officer is able to verify that you have an EUSS family permit, your passport or ID card will be returned to you and you will be granted entry to the UK. This process can take between 10 to 30 minutes on average, but might take longer in some exceptional circumstances. If the border force officer is unable to make a decision, then it will be escalated to a caseworker located within the airport. If you haven't already been given a pre-filled IS-81 form and asked to take a seat in the controlled waiting area, the border force officer will now provide you with this and ask you to do so. Whilst in the waiting area, you may be asked some follow-up questions and for documentation, physical or digital, so that the caseworker can understand your case fully. There is no average time frame for this particular process, but in exceptional circumstances it is possible you could be waiting for over an hour. Once the caseworker is satisfied with the additional information and/or documents, you will be escorted from the waiting area to gain entry to the UK. If the caseworker is unable to make a decision after obtaining additional information from you, then you could be escorted to one of the interview rooms. Here, a border force officer will ask you a series of detailed questions relating to your travels to the UK and family members currently residing in the UK. A translation service will be provided if needed. There is no average time frame for how long this particular interview process can take. If the border force officer is satisfied with the information obtained during the interview process, your passport and ID card will be returned to you and you will be granted entry to the UK. However, if after all further examination there is still not enough evidence to prove your right to enter, you will be refused entry to the UK. In this situation, you will be removed from the UK. If you have experienced issues at the border that you feel that a border force officer has not followed the processes outlined in this video, then please visit the IMA website, where you can report a complaint via our portal, send a complaint via post, or contact us via telephone.